I just want to introduce myself. I'm Kirsty. I work on the software desk. You've probably spoken to me before. I'm the senior member of the software team. Just want to let you guys know that today's event will be recorded and we will circulate a copy around to everybody. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll do questions at the end. You'll be able to put your questions into the chat feature in Teams and we'll go through them at the end as a presentation. Okay, so in the presentation, we'll go through completing the tax year end, a couple of the version changes for 2.9, and then we'll move across to your questions. Okay, so we'll start off with the tax year completion. So we'll just do the step-by-step completing the tax year guide for yourselves. Okay, so first thing to do before doing your year end, which you all know, is to complete your backup of your system. So from administration, utilities and backup, make sure you have a backup there. You will only need to back up your company data, so you can untick include company files. That will make you back up a lot faster as well. And then hit next and start. As you're aware, for your backups, you'll need everybody out with your system, so just make sure that obviously it's booked in at a time that's convenient for everybody. Okay, once you've got your backup, you're ready to go. Okay, so firstly, what we always do is just advise you to do a couple of checks. So back into your payroll and your utilities and your set options, we just advise that you check your current tax year is showing you 21 to 2022. Okay, which is always a good place to start. Okay. It's just taking a moment. So you can see here, my current tax year is the current year, so we're in 2022. So I know that I'm in the correct tax year at the moment, which is perfect. And then what we say is obviously same as your normal payroll, go through and print any of the reports that you need. So any of your summary reports, anything like that, print at this point in time. Okay, once you've got all your period end reports printed, we always advise going in and just checking your P32 processing. Okay, just check that you're happy with all your figures in here. And as well, if you do consolidate into a parent group, you'll need to do this at this point in time. So if you do have a parent group for your P32, you can consolidate by hitting action and then consolidate P32. In my example, I don't have any other companies with it being a demo, but at this point, if you did, you'd be able to select your other companies and click OK and consolidate them into your parent. After you've printed all your reports and you're happy with your P32 figures, the next thing that we advise doing is printing your P60s. Okay, so your P60s are printed from your special reports and then your P60 year-end returns. Okay, I'll just print some to screen so you can see. Okay. I'll just do one to screen. As you can see, it prints the full sheet. If you've got the emails payslip set up, it will email out the P60s as well as part of the functionality. So once you've sent your P60 processing or P60 forms out to everybody or printed them, you can then complete the rest of that pay period. So you can go in and create your backs file. Okay, and then as normal, you will need to go in and create your full EPS and FPS. On your FPS and your EPS, you do need to be aware that because this is your final EPS and FPS of the year, you will be asked. So on here, you can come in and say that's your final FPS. Okay. And the same on your EPS. final EPS and just make sure the year is correct. Okay. What you should also see is that it is up to month 12 and it'll give you the dates there, so just check that as well before sending. But they will need to be submitted as your final ones, so your final FPS and EPS will need to be submitted for that month 12. Okay, and then once you're happy with your period 12 or your week 52, you'd come into your utilities and then do your normal update. So you update your payroll, select your group you're wishing to update, and this will update into your next period. Just going to send mine through. So it'll just take a moment for that to go through, and then that will place me into my next tax year. Okay, so we'll just wait for that to go through. But once this is completed, that's everything done for your final period of your payroll. So just to kind of make you aware again, we always advise that your P60s are printed before this point and your final FPS and EPS need to be done before the update. Okay, so once your update is complete, one of the first things we say to go do is do the year of end clear down. Okay. So from special reports, you've got your year of end clear down. Okay. Select your period. Okay, and it's telling us there that our tax year has gone from 2021 to 22 to 22 to 23, which is correct. So it's moved us across in that new tax year. Are we sure you want to continue? So we hit yes with that. Okay. So this will provide us with a list of all the payments and deductions that you've got set up in your payroll. Okay. And in here, you can select individually which ones you wish to clear down at the year end for the year end. Or if you know that it's going to be everything, you do have the ability to do select all. If it's quicker that way, you can do select all and then come and select the ones you don't want to be carried through. So you have got a couple of options. And the same with deductions, you can do a select all or you can mark them individually. For my example, I'm going to clear everything down for the year end. The only things normally you wouldn't want to clear down is if there's loans, for example. I've got a loan there, so you might mark that as a no for a clear down because you want the balance to carry forward. Okay, so then when you hit OK to that, the system will go down and clear down everything for the new tax year. Okay, what that will do is it'll clear down all the year-to-date figures on each employee, so it knows where the tax needs to start. Okay, what we also advise doing is once you've cleared down, just going and checking everything that you're happy. So one of the first things, again, we do go into utilities and set options, and we check that tax year. Okay, so you can see there now my tax year has moved on for 22, 23. Okay, which is correct. So we're happy with that. What we'd also advise doing is just going and checking your payroll calendar. So there it is. And as you can see here, my year has moved on as well in here to 22, 23. And I've got all my dates in here. So my usual pay dates and my start and end date. We would advise if you need to make any changes, making it at this point. So if any start date or end changes or usual pay dates need to change, you can change these in here and it will update as it goes through. So if I change, for example, to the 29th, okay, and then it asks us whether you want to apply that change moving down the rest of the tax year, which in this case I do, and then it will automatically update all my usual pay dates to the 29th. It would do the same if I wanted to change my start date or my end date. It would ask me that question, whether that was going to affect the rest of the year. And again, you can do so. Okay, so once you're happy with your calendar, what we'd advise doing is just going and checking all the rates as well. Okay, so you have in utilities, pay NI and stat tables, and table 2 is for your 22-23 year. You'll be able to see all of the new tax rates. So you've got your new NI, which has adjusted this year for E's and R's. Okay, and then you've got your statutory payments table as well. Okay, on your NI ERS, what you can see here at the bottom is you've got your employee allowance and your apprenticeship levy. If any changes need to be made to your apprenticeship levy or your allowance, you can do that at this time. Okay, if for any reason you come in here and the tables don't look correct, what you can do is in utilities, you can then come through and do copy statutory rates. I've only got the demo system, so I can't copy from any other company. But what you can do in here is your demo company will always carry through your statutory rates. So you can copy from demo, which would be, you'd be able to select from this list here and then select OK, and that would recopy the tables across. So if you do notice that when you go into that stat table, if it hasn't moved across correctly, you can come in here and do your copy statutory rates. And we'd advise copying them from the demo company. Any issues, obviously, just give the support desk a call, but that's there if you do need to do that copy. Okay. So now you're fully into the next tax year. So you've checked that your tax calendar and you've checked your rates are correct. Okay. So then what we can do is you can go through and check your employees. Okay, so what we should find is that the to date screen is all cleared down, ready for your next tax year, and that's what the clear down did there. The clear down removed all the information from the year to date screen, as this is where it calculates how much tax you'll need to pay. Okay, so it's sometimes worth checking that these have cleared down correctly. Okay. One of the other good things to run at this point is the MISC report and employee age list. What this will allow you to see if anybody's coming into the age bracket for the minimum wage. So if that needs to be increased, you'll be able to see that in here. So it'll let you know if anybody's going to come up to a new national minimum wage or if anything like that's going to occur. So it's just a nice report to have and to run to see where you are with that. If you do have any tax changes or new tax codes to apply to employees, you can either do it individually on each employee from within processing. So you've got your tax code rates there, so you can make that change there if needed. Or if you've got quite a few to do, you can do it in global changes. You can do tax code changes. And these let you change all employees or just your UK, your Scottish or your tax, and you can change the code across here. So all the L's would come in, for example. That's just a quicker way to do it if you've got quite a few in there. Okay. Another thing to check, if you've got anybody with a company car, we'd advise coming back in and just checking that everything is correct with the company car. So in payroll processing action, you've got payroll benefits and then company cars. So from here, you can add a new company car, or you can go in and just check that everything's correct for that current company car that the employee does have. Okay. just come out there. Okay. Another thing that I know we get asked a lot on support is about claiming the employee allowance. Okay, so to claim your employee allowance, you'll need to run your first EPS. Okay, and then on the second page, you need to tick on here to start claiming, and that will need to be submitted to the HMRC. Okay, you can submit an EPS as many times as you wish, so you can do this at the beginning of your payroll so that you know it's definitely gone. Or some people prefer to do the payroll processing as normal and then send their EPS with the tick on at that point, but this will need to be done to allow or to notify the HMRC that you're going to claim that. Okay. Okay, so that is your full year-end processing. One of the questions we get asked a lot is obviously if there's going to be a week 53. This year there would only be a week 53 for the weekly payroll if your pay date falls on the 5th of April. That's just something for you guys to keep in mind. There is a nice new feature within Opera this year. So you still have to print your P60s before you complete your period 12 or week 52 payroll. But now what you can do is go and reprint any P60 after the year end. So from payroll processing, select your group, and you've got action there. Okay, and then what you've got in here is you've got history, and you see you've got here a new option called tax year. To select into tax year, and then in the action menu in here, you've got the option to reprint P60, and it will allow you to reprint the P60 for the tax years that are showing in this list here. Okay, so I only know that I've got the one in here because it's been demo, but you can see my tax year for the last one, and I can go highlight it and reprint my P60, which is a nice new feature that I do believe people will be using. If you already were using the email pay slips, you could already do this from within the history and pay period and action. Action, and then I haven't got the email payslip option set, but you can see that it's grayed out. So if you've got email payslips, you do have the option in here as well as in the tax year screen. So you do have the two options if you've got email payslip switched on. Okay, as you're probably all aware that the NI has gone up this year as well for everybody. As part of the HMRC changes, they have advised that everybody puts a little message onto their pay slip. Now, I know some people have done this as part of their payroll upgrade. So when they've had the payroll upgrade, they've had this feature enabled, or we've added it onto their pay slip for them. If you still need this added into your pay slip, obviously just give the support desk a phone call and we'll get that added for yourselves. Just as there's a little bit of wording that the HMRC have asked or said that they should be added to the bottom of your payslip, just to say that there is an uplift due to the funds for the NHS. Okay. Again, if you need that, just ring the help desk and we'll get that added for yourselves. Okay, so that's one of the main changes that people are aware of this year is that health and social care levy, which is the 1.25% on NI. Okay. There's been obviously in the software the new P60 reprint, which is quite nice as well. Again, there are some new national insurance categories. So you've got new letters in there, and they mainly are for free ports and vets. So just to be aware that there are the new free port options and veterinary options for your NI codes. Okay, so your NI code will just need to be selected from here. So you've got some new ones. So you've got your standard veterinary, which is a new one. Okay. If you are doing free part, there is an option within set options. There you go, and you can tick on that you're in a free part employee. Okay. Okay, if you are using free part, you'll need to tick it on here. And once it's ticked on in there, you will get the new NI codes, and it will then allow you with the NI changes as well for the free part. Okay. Also within the version, all the statutory changes have been made for the NI by rates and tax. There has been no changes on student loan or the auto enrolment thresholds. Nothing's been given from the government as yet on that. If there is any changes, obviously we will be communicating with yourselves. Okay. And that's all of the changes. What I'll do now is I'll just go to the questions. So I'll just have a look at the chat. So if you do have any questions, just put them in the chat and I can work through them. Okay, can't see any questions in the chat at the moment. So I'll just give you a moment just in case anybody does have any questions. Okay, I can see one question's come through about emailing the P45s. Okay. Oh. So I don't think I've got anything. Oh. You can email your P45. So I was going to show you, but my system doesn't seem to want to work. I haven't got the email payslip system part set up, but you can email your P45 parts as well if you need to. But if you give me a call, obviously I can get connected and show you on your screen. It's just unfortunate I haven't got the email payslips part set up in demo. Regarding the EPS, we would always advise doing a final EPS and marking it as your final EPS in your period 12, but you do have the option to do the final EPS and mark it as that tax year. So if you have rolled across and you've forgotten to do it, you can come in here and mark it for your previous tax year and resend it. You do have that option. If you've already sent your EPS and your FPS for your final period, and you've already done that, as long as you've marked them as your final EPS of the year, then you won't need to do anything else now. If you haven't marked it as your final EPS, you can still come into here again, even if you've gone into your new tax year, and mark it as the final and select your correct tax year. So that's not a problem, but just make sure it is stated as your final EPS. If you've not done one marked as your final EPS, then you'll just need to resend a new one. Okay. If a employee has gone over the pension age, then they will have a new NI code. So you should have been given a new NI code for anybody that's gone over pension age. So you might need to just check that you haven't, or you might receive it still from the HMRC, but you should have a new NI code for them. It's normally a reduced one. So again, you just need to check that you should get a new NI code for any employee that's gone over pension age. But you should get that from the HMRC. Okay. What I'll do with all the questions as well is I'll do a little sheet with all the questions and the answers on and submit that out to everybody as well. So you've got the answers as well circulated to yourselves. If you are still using paper payslips, there is a functionality in Opera to use email payslips P60s. That functionality, you need to have the scheduler installed, which the majority of people do now because the scheduler is also needed for MTD. So if you've got MTD installed, you will be ready. So it's just a case of setting up the email side of it. So if you give the help desk a call, we can get that set up and discuss the setup side with yourselves. Regarding the wording for the NI uplift on the pay slips, it's something that will need to be added by one of the support members. So it needs to be added to the Fox Pro design itself. So what we're saying is just give the desk a ring and they'll put that on there for you. At the moment, we're just putting a little bit of wording on there. If you want anything extra, just let them know and they'll be able to do that for you. Okay. You should get one of the questions that I've just seen come in the chat is about the year-end guide. You should be receiving that as part of your upgrade process. If you haven't received the PDF, again, just let the support desk know and we'll get that sent out to yourselves. It's just a PDF document that you should have been given. Apologies if you haven't as part of your upgrade. Just let us know and then, yeah, we'll get that sent out to yourselves. It is just, again, a step-by-step guide, which is a nice little tick off sheet as well with it. If you need to make any changes, questions is regarding the employee allowance. So you can do that within utilities, pay NI stat tables and then pay table 2. And then on the NI and ERS, in here, you can make any changes to the employment allowance. I know that you can only claim this for a couple of companies. So if you've got the same tax code, you can only claim it once. So you can in here change how much you want the allowance to be. And you can do that as well for the apprenticeship levy. Once you've changed it in this screen, it will hold that information. And then when you submit across to the HMRC, they'll know and it'll make that change for yourself in the P32 screens. Okay, there's some answers and some questions that I haven't got a chance to get to. So what I will do, like I said, we'll do like a question and answer sheet. So following the presentation. So what I'll do is I'll do all the questions and then put the answers with them. So at least you've got a question and answer sheet and that will be distributed to everybody. Just want to thank everybody for your time. Again, if there's anything that you need, obviously give the support desk a call and we'll to answer any other questions as well. Okay, thank you.